Hi everyone. Um, Talea hasn't told you I'm at home right now with strep throat, which is why I'm not presenting my presentation live. I got my cat in my lap, and so now I'm gonna do my presentation on business of hip hop. I do have a cough drop in my mouth, by the way. Um, anyways, so yeah, this is my presentation on the business of hip hop. First, I want to start off by talking about some of the origins of, of commercial hip hop. And so the first time that we saw hip hop as really a commercial venture, perhaps, would be in 1979. Miss Sylvia Robinson here, who's pictured on the right side of the screen. She was already a music producer, and then she went to a party in 1979, and she heard some hip hop music being played. And so before she started her venture, which I'll touch on shortly, hip hop was sort of just a thing that people listened to at parties, get-togethers, and it wasn't really a nationwide thing, and there weren't really any groups um, producing a lot of songs in that style. And that all changed when she thought, hey, this music's pretty good, and I think she thought she could make some money off of it. And so she held some auditions outside of a pizza shop, actually. And from those auditions, she gathered a group called the Sugar Hill Gang. And in 1979, they released a single called Rapper's Delight. And it was very popular. It was the very first hip hop song to reach top 40 on the US music charts. And so from that, hip hop sort of became a phenomenon. And that's really some of the origins of commercial hip hop. The four pillars of hip hop, which I'm sure we've touched on many times in class, as you know, are rapping, graffiti, DJing, and breakdancing. And so I've sort of divided my presentation into these areas, and some of them are a lot more profitable than others, and I'll get into that. But that's just sort of what I'm going to touch over in this presentation. And so we're starting off with rapping. All right, you can see a picture of Kanye West. And so with rapping, a lot of the money that people can make comes from record sales. Selling copies of their songs for people to listen to. I'm sure that's not very new information, but rappers can also make money from going on tour, selling merchandise such as t-shirts, baseball caps, etc., and also from streaming services. And streaming services are more of a new opportunity than the other ones, perhaps. But as I'm sure many of you know, when you stream a song, the artist gets paid a very small fraction of a cent, but that really adds up when you have millions of people listening to your songs. And so Kanye West is rated as the richest rapper currently in the United States. And a lot of that money actually doesn't come from rapping itself, but rather other different ways that he's making money, and I'll touch on that later in the presentation. Next up, we have graffiti. I've used Banksy as an example. Banksy is a British-based street artist who has a very distinctive style, and he's actually an anonymous artist. No one knows what his real name is, at least publicly. And he has a very distinctive style. Now, obviously, your average street artist who spray paints the side of a subway station is not necessarily going to make a lot of money from it, or any money at all. In fact, I might go to prison, as we read in our play for this week, at least for Tuesday. But Banksy has become very successful. He has a very distinctive style, often talking about police brutality and using specific symbols that appear in a lot of his different artwork. And I have a quote on the next slide. You can read this for yourself. But one of his paintings was sold at auction and it actually, after the auctioneer, banged the gavel and sold the piece, it activated a paper shredder inside the frame of the painting, and it shredded the painting into small scraps of paper after it sold for $1.4 million. And a lot of people have actually speculated that the value of the painting increased because of this, and this was something that was implemented by Banksy himself. Anyways, I thought that was interesting. And so, again, not all graffiti artists are going to be selling paintings for millions of dollars, but it's certainly something that you can be successful financially in. Next, we have Djing and Breakdancing, which are not really as profitable as the other two. Rapping is really the most profitable venture that you're going to see in hip hop culture for the most part, or at least as a gateway to selling other items, which will make you a lot of money. But I thought it was really interesting that in 2024, breakdancing was going to be an event at the Paris Olympics. And so there's going to be obviously a worldwide competition in the sport of breakdancing. And I personally look forward to watching that during the Olympics and seeing how that goes. Of course, you can still make money DJing, and doing that for parties and as a hired gig, but on the whole, these aren't going to be as profitable as rapping or street art. Or my final thing, which leads me into this quote from Forbes, which you can of course read it for yourself, but there's a lot more money to be made through brand deals and other sources of income besides just selling records. And this quote and example references entertainment empires, which is one example. Another would be clothing and cosmetic companies. Rihanna is well known for her beauty brand, and Kanye has his own brand of sneakers, which are shown here on the right. He's partnered with Adidas to create Yeezys. And these ventures have made Rihanna and Kanye respectively a lot more money than their record sales have. I thought that was interesting. And so a lot of rappers are using their music to sort of promote their lifestyle brands, whether that be shoes or cosmetics or what have you. There's many other options, or a TV show. But anyways, yeah. Here's some of my sources. Well, all of my sources. And then of course the images are all sourced on the slides that they appear on. And in conclusion, there really is a wide variety to make money, a wide variety of ways to make money from hip hop, whether that be rapping and selling records, or DJing as a gig for a party, or creating street art, or selling the lifestyle culture that hip hop really embodies, as shoes or streetwear or anything else. Of course, I can answer questions in class. I will be in class on Thursday when you watch this. Hopefully I'm feeling a little better by then. But yeah, thank you for listening to my presentation.